Hi, hello guys, my name is Mia Marie, and you are currently watching my Synastry Compatibility series where I go through all the 12 signs, sun signs, and how they get along. Now, as a general disclaimer, we reference so much more than just the sun sign for compatibility, but the importance of the sun and understanding someone's sun sign and accepting it and supporting it is that the sun sign describes the motives, the behaviors, the experiences that contribute to someone's sense of sanity. So we're not talking so much about what someone needs emotionally or how they flirt or what makes them great in bed, all of those very, romantic topics. We're talking about how to support someone's vitality, someone's sense of self, and someone's healing human journey. So keep in mind that this is just a gentle introduction, and you can get so much more by booking a session with me or another fantastic astrologer. Someone who is born with their sun in Libra is here to establish wholeness through cooperation in effort to reach spiritual enlightenment or a higher state of consciousness. So they take Gemini's curiosity, information, and perspective and go, okay, cool, I have enough information to work with, but what do you think? I would like to hear who you are and what you're doing and why you're doing it. They're very focused on the other. It's important to understand that the sun in Libra is debilitated, which means that it's not born really seeing itself clearly. It's similar to Leo, where it's a super social sign, but in order for it to understand what it likes, it needs to understand what it doesn't like. And it does that through engaging with you, through taking on your personality, through engaging in conversation with you. They discover who they are by communicating with other people. Communication is very important to Libra. They can even be over communicators in many situations in multiple people's eyes. And one of the biggest misconceptions with Libras is that they are balanced. That's what they're here to learn. And so oftentimes Libra's lives are very chaotic. It's almost like they were born with a scale that was broken, and they spend their entire life collecting tools to fix this inner scale. And so what Libra will do in their younger years, or if they are still in the process of developing, is they will fabricate peace. They will find a way to fabricate peace externally because their external reality is a reflection of how they feel inside. So there is no barrier there. So if people are fighting inside, they're uneasy. If the environment is ugly and the colors don't coordinate and things don't look good, they don't feel good. They feel dirty. And so what you'll catch Libra doing in moments of chaos is they will try to remedy the situation, to make the conflict go away as soon as possible, even if they're not being fully transparent. They will actually sacrifice their opinions and their thoughts and their wants just so we can move on, because it feels too destabilizing to them internally to sit with that conflict. As they get older, they obviously recognize that they're throwing their sanity on the line in the name of peace, but they rise to the occasion eventually and start to advocate for what true peace is. And that's being heard and received and having that same, compromising attitude reciprocated back. Libra is ruled by Venus, Aphrodite, and similar to Taurus, there is an affinity towards nature, but Libra likes to elevate it a little bit. It's like sophisticated art. It is sophisticated taste. It wants more than peace. It wants luxury, because luxury represents an elevated state of peace. And so they like quality things. They focus on name brands because the external creates the internal. So if they buy things of value, then they are of value. And you will find that they like going to art museums, or they like exploring the arts. They are into fashion or creating their own particular style because they need to engage in the mirroring process from an early age to understand who they are. They are gifted when it comes to understanding where someone stands, what they need, what they feel, and who they are. They can almost adapt the personality of the person that they are around, especially if they're around them for an extended period of time. They are the masters of love, and they are excellent at compromising, and they often lead with an air or a style of communication that is easy on the ears and the eyes, and it supports this urge in the rest of us to trust them. Like, here's this beautiful person who's talking so nicely, who's hyping me up, like, let me open up to this person. And they're really good at establishing trust. They have this social lubricant over them that allows them to fit into any environment that they choose. It makes them like social chameleons. They can go anywhere. They are gifted debaters, and they rule like the law. Judgment. I mean, normally when you think about law, you think about Saturn, but when you're in courts and someone is judging whether you're guilty or innocent, when you have to weigh information, when you have to put yourself in people's shoes and assess things in whatever way that Libra does it, they are the top performers. They know how to make a balanced, just call. Because Libra prizes a sense of elevated peace, because they like living the high, comfy life, they're not going to tolerate or appreciate someone who is rude or stirs up trouble. If you're taking them on a date and you're rude to the waiter, or you don't tip well, or you just tend to leave a bad taste in people's mouths, they're going to be repulsed by you because you're not a work of art. You're trash. Libra is also punctual. It likes being on time. Again, this is pure, undisturbed Libra energy. If you have other things in your chart, if they have other things in their chart, you might see them run late. But just the sun in Libra doesn't appreciate people who waste time, because they are a cardinal sign. This is someone who likes to accomplish things, who likes to stay on schedule. This is a leader. And so if you're not managing your time well, how well are you managing your life? And they don't like people who don't take accountability for themselves, because they are often the ones who pick up the slack. They are hard workers, they're reliable, like I said, they're leaders, and they like to show off the lifestyle that they have earned. So if you are someone that they can't show off, if you're someone who doesn't take pride over yourself, if you don't dress well, if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't groom yourself, if you have not graduated from a university, if you're not on their same level, they get very picky like that. It's like, no, you can't sit with us. Like, you can take your dropout ass over there. I'm being a little too mouthy for this, but They consider themselves to be socially elite, and they are. And they like to run with other successful people because it builds, to their vibe, to their look, to their lifestyle. Libras have been known to move slowly to the altar, and it's because they really appreciate their options. They're indecisive. That's something that I haven't mentioned, because they understand that when they choose one thing, that they're letting go of all of the other options. And so they want to make sure that whatever they commit to, whatever they choose, is the best option. And the sooner that they recognize that no decision is a decision, and that they're squandering their time and they're slowing down their own plans for the future, then the sooner they will make a decision. A hack to get a Libra to make a decision more quickly is to make a decision. And what I mean by that is, say, for example, you're dating a Libra and you're torn between Mexican and Italian for your dinner date. And you ask them, what do you want? They'll be like, I don't know. What do you want? Decide. Say something. Because right away, they're going to know whether or not they like what you chose. And then they will say, actually, no, Mexican sounds gross. Like, I had that yesterday. Like, let's have Italian. So yes, don't play that back and forth game, because like I said earlier, they need to, or they will need to hear your feedback to understand where they stand in a particular moment. As lovers, I would say that they appreciate words of affirmation. Like I said before, communication is the lifeblood to a Libra, so they appreciate you complimenting them, you paying attention to how much effort they've put into their outfit or into a meal or into making reservations. They need that feedback and they expect it, because that's what they're working on, that's what they're working towards. And they are programmed for partnership. They are excellent partners across the board, because there is this desire to meet you halfway that's not always presented through the other zodiac signs. Someone with their sun in Capricorn has a soul that came to Earth to learn that when you work productively, you learn patience, persistence, and perseverance. Now, something that not a lot of astrologers talk about, which I find completely baffling, is that Neptune was in Capricorn from 1984 until 1998. And this is a huge influence, because Yes, Capricorns are hard workers and they typically, stereotypically, archetypally know who they are and what they want to do. With Neptune here, you can actually get a character that has no idea who they are. It's almost as if they are Piscean, Capricornian characters. You're dealing with a Capricorn who was born in that time. You might notice that they have a hard time establishing an ego or seeing themselves clearly. There is this, it's almost as if when you take a shower and the mirror is fogged and you try to look at yourself, you can't see yourself. That is a Capricorn with Neptune on the sun. So back to Capricorn energy. Capricorn is the third earth sign. It is the most mature. It takes the security and the competence from Taurus. It takes the systems that Virgo has created and it goes, okay, how do we turn this into a company? How do we sell this? How do we market this? How do we create revenue? How do we provide for the masses? It's a universally oriented sign. These are typically like the bosses because they are focused on order of operations. They like things done in a specific way. They keep a list of things to do and they like to check those things off. They get off to being productive. Capricorn is naturally ruled by the planet Saturn, and that's the planet with the ring around it, which is perfect because Capricorn, Saturn energy, it's all about restriction, constriction, knowing boundaries, exercising boundaries, bending to authority, really wanting a position that gives you authority and power. And so oftentimes what you'll find with these people is it's hard for them to play and have fun, to experience joy, because if you're playing around all day, you're not going to be as productive, right? It goes against their motive to be persistent and patient and to persevere against all odds. It's thinking the long haul. What are the decisions that I can make every single day that will turn my life into a legacy? What is my great work? And that is something that will stick with Capricorn their whole lives. Now, something they may not realize is that some of their greatest work is going to be internal. It's going to be something that nobody else sees. They are in so many ways proving themselves to themselves, similar to Taurus, but on a greater scale. The stakes are so much higher. They're in the public eye. And along with that, they care a lot about how other people view them. They want to come off as professional and polished. They like their clothes like iron. They like neutrals, or they just like to give the look like they are all about their business. And if they don't, you can tell depression has many correlations with Saturn energy or Capricorn energy. And so that's their default. And when they're depressed, it's their body trying to scream at them like, this isn't working. This ego that you are working to accomplish. And as a preface, or for clarification, I don't demonize the ego. I think that everyone has one and it must serve a purpose, and the ego is trainable. That's the beauty. You can always train your ego to be in service to your soul. So I'm not slamming egos. Depression is always a call from the soul, and it's saying, I don't want to be this character anymore. I don't want to live this life anymore. I'm tapping out. And when you have that perspective, when you have that awareness, then you're able to adjust your schedule. And it will be something that you have to manage on the outside. And then as you do it, as you start moving your body through the adjustment in your schedule, you'll start to reconnect with yourself, or Capricorn will start to reconnect with themselves. It will also manifest by their habits and their behaviors. When they're not working, they'll work until they're exhausted, and then they'll come home and they'll want to drink or they'll want to smoke. They just want out. Okay, so Capricorns in relationships specifically, it is a duty. It is something that is similar to a job. They want to show up, and they want to show up every day, and they expect that you're going to show up every day. And more than that, they will exercise their own restrictions and expectations onto you. They want you to get on board with their schedule. They are a leadership sign. They're a cardinal sign. And so you will find that they really take you under their wing, and they want you guys to excel together. In my personal experience, I found that Capricorn does appreciate partnership, but it doesn't do the flings. It wants marriage. It wants kids. It wants the earthly representations of accomplishment. They are reliable. They are consistent. They are on top of it. They're on top of what you're doing, what you're not doing, what you should be doing. And they have an eye for things that are flawed, and they'll point it out to you. They can kind of have a more serious or stoic attitude towards life. And it's very matter of fact when you're with them. They have this dry quality to their personality that people can find endearing. Now, some deal breakers with Capricorn. If you are not thinking long term, if you don't want a serious relationship, if you don't want to be married or have children or buy a house or grow old together, that is a Capricorn thing, then they will dismiss you quite quickly. They don't want to entertain games, and they don't appreciate when you try and toy with them because they will show up for you. They take life seriously and they take themselves seriously, which means they also take you seriously, and they expect you to act as a mature, grown, and responsible adult at all times. Now, if you're someone who's a little bit more spontaneous, like for example, in my personal experience with Capricorn, I like to do things on a whim. I can't stand a plan. I like just putting myself out there and having a fun time, watching where life takes me. If you have that type of an attitude, they are going to contract. They may get on board depending on their other placements, but there's something inside of them that gets nervous, and they kind of like do this, they don't like it, and they might judge you, and they may call you impulsive. They don't appreciate impulsivity. They don't appreciate things that are done on a whim because it's not well thought out. You're not thinking of the consequences of your actions. What if you get lost? What if you run out of money? What if blah, 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 blah. They're going to name all the cautionary things that you didn't think about as you're trying to bungee jump off of a cliff. Piggybacking on that, they are risk averse. They don't like putting themselves in situations where they may fail. Because what does that show about them? What does that prove about them? That means that they aren't this authoritarian character or authoritative character, depending on whichever one they subscribe to, high functioning, low functioning. They don't like to look stupid. They like to come off as someone who can manage the masses. And so they will avoid situations where there is a greater probability that they will fall on their face, or they have a hard time surrendering to the unknown. And they will criticize you for putting yourself in that situation until they see that you have been successful. So if you're someone who enjoys challenge, risk, and thrills, expect to have like a sit-down conversation where it's like, they're the principal and you're the student, and they're like, listen to me. This is the rules. This is what we do. Another thing they won't appreciate is if you don't take your life seriously. If you are not accomplishing things on a daily basis, or if you have nothing to prove for your day or your energy or your effort, they like to show their person off. They like to feel as if they have also won a prize. They are a prize, and so is their person. They like the power couple idea. And so if you are a little bit, if you're not as ambitious, or if your ambitions don't yield material, again, representations of success and accomplishment, they're not going to gravitate towards you. But all in all, they're about their business. And if you are with them, then you are their business. So they're focused on the long term. They want commitment. They will show up for you. They will want to provide for you. They will want to make you feel like your relationship is stable and your home space is stable, and you guys can do whatever you like because you have the funds in the bank. Sun in Libra, Sun in Capricorn. Now, astrological text, mainstream astrology will tell us that these two should not get along. We have two chefs in the kitchen, but we don't. And I disagree. These two get along really well, and in fact have the potential to be a power couple, even though they sit at a pretty sharp 90-degree angle. And the reason behind that is really, they have enough in common, but Libra is a socially oriented sign. It has the secret sauce, and Libra can really sweeten anything, especially if it sees that there is someone of value, someone of status, someone of success before them. And so to begin with, we have an introverted and an extroverted sign. Introverted is Capricorn, extroverted is Libra. When they wake up in the morning, Taurus feels charged and ready to go. Libra feels empty. The moment they step out into the world, Capricorn starts draining its energy and Libra starts generating energy. So you guys are on opposite rhythms, but again, like we hit a sweet spot where we really find our flow, and then we separate again. So it's just something to keep in mind. These are both cardinal signs, which means that they like to get things going, they like to get things started. And so even though they're doing different things, they will recognize in the other person that they are leading something, and that will grant respect, that will grant patience, and that will grant to some degree interest in what the other person is doing. Now, Libra is an air sign, which means that it's always up in its head. It's constantly thinking about things. It's trying to like pull all these beautiful ideas that it has in its mind and find ways to materialize it or to explain it or to share it. And Capricorn is grounded, practical, paying attention to what's here, what's now, and how it's going to grow over time. And so Libra will appreciate that Capricorn is practical. Capricorn has the ability to create a sense of stability that Libra isn't used to having itself. And so it will feel comfortable being on Earth, especially when it comes to those tasks that aren't so great. You know, like Libras are really good at leading a life and paying their bills and being successful, but they don't necessarily like it. And Capricorn kind of gets off to it, like, oh, this bill is coming, I must pay it, you know, there's something, a tire is flat, like, oh, Capricorn will do it for Libra. So Capricorn will do acts of service for Libra, and Libra will just do whatever Capricorn would like to see happen. So Capricorn will appreciate Libra's taste, its social etiquette, its ability to like bend and fold and really work any room. Capricorn may view Libra as like this trophy that they can show off, and they feel proud, you know, because Librans, Venusian people, also, you know, bringing into mind Taurus, these are people who just are gorgeous. They care about how they look, they care about how they're being presented and received, and they care about the equal energetic exchange. And so when you bring this bombshell, Capricorn, it makes them look better. That's another quality of a Capricorn relationship. They view you as an extension of themselves, and they are kind of picky about who they engage with long term. A particular sweet spot I've seen between a Capricorn and a Libra is thinking about ideal situations. It's always like, I wish this could be. How do I make this happen? And they'll talk about it with Capricorn, and Capricorn is so much of this world that they'll be like, yeah, that's a great idea, but if you want to materialize it and rather quickly, this is what you need to do. This is what needs to be changed. And so they can kind of work together in a way that accelerates like the manifestation of a dream or an idea. Now, of course, you know, some problem areas, there are always areas of growth in every relationship. And so Libra is very concerned with, you know, what everyone is thinking of them on a very social, intimate level. And it can kind of play the people pleaser role to fabricate a sense of peace. Because if there's chaos or an argument in their environment, they are having an argument with themselves inside. They are in chaos. And so they work really hard to make sure that everyone is okay. Whereas Capricorn cares about how it's received, but it's not going to go around and kiss everyone's ass, you know, in order to do it. And so Capricorn might find Libra to be like superficial or artificial in a way. And then another issue is that Libra likes to flirt and you know, it has the gift of the gab. And Capricorn can find that to be a little fickle or dancing on the lines of infidelity. Libra might look at Capricorn and be like, you know, you're just so predictable. I know exactly what you're doing. I know when you're going to go to sleep. I know when you're going to start snoring. I know all of these things about you. There is no wild card factor. There is nothing to spark that romance. And then also, that's another huge thing is Capricorn is ruled, well, it's a negative and a positive. So it's a positive because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the planet of commitment, and Libra is ruled by Venus, the planet of love and connectivity, but, you know, not unconditional love like a Pisces, but love as in romance and passion and, you know, that yum stuff, the joy, the joy in life. And so high side is that these two come together and they have an enduring love story. Libra continues to bring the things that make romance interesting, and Capricorn, you know, pays the bills and is committed to a point that makes Libra feel satisfied. The low side is Saturn loves to say no. It's all about constriction and restriction and predictability, being stable, and it's quite contracted in its day-to-day expressions. And Venus doesn't want to be, contracted. Aphrodite doesn't want to be held in a room like Rapunzel. It wants to go out and play and have fun. And so Libra may find that even though Capricorn makes an effort to show up to social events, they don't exactly bring the best energy or the best vibe, and Libra can feel like they are carrying the like the reputation of the relationship on their shoulders. However, I will say Libras do tend to adopt or pick up bits and pieces of their partner's personality. This is common for everybody, right? To pick up their lingo or their posture or their sayings, but it's especially true with Libra characters because they're coming to actualize themselves through seeing themselves in other people's eyes. And so like Capricorn can help Libra be a little bit more responsible, help with follow through, help with consistency. Libras get really excited about things at first, and then once the motivation and inspiration wears off, they're like, and next, like they fall off the bandwagon quite easily. And so Capricorn won't let them, like this is good for us. This is what we agreed to. This is the contract. Now, there are many factors that affect this relationship, right? It's not just about the sun sign. The sun sign is about protecting each other's vitality and their sanity. And so, straight off the bat, Capricorn has to understand that Libra needs to be able to be a social butterfly and entertain all of their friendships and relationships. They are working to create the or fix the internal scale that they have. They are not born with the gift of establishing peace or restoring peace. It's something that they have to learn through injecting themselves or placing themselves in situations or relationships where there is utter chaos, and they must learn how to balance out the scales. And so on the other hand, Capricorn comes into this world to work, patience, persistence, and perseverance. It wants to show up in a big way. This public image of being professional and being someone that people admire and respect is the lifeblood to a Capricorn. Now, just basic sacred geometry is that they're at a 90-degree angle. So there could be, challenge points that do pull them in different directions because they're constantly striving, again, in different directions. And so it can create a lot of space between them over time if they don't prioritize the relationship. Although, a Libra, I can't see them doing that. But it's equally, I would say it's arguably even more important to look at the moon, Venus, Mercury, and Mars if you're talking about like getting down and dirty with someone. But the moon will tell you someone's temperament. So you could have a Capricorn with a Libra moon, and then that will really soften and bring a lot of peace and lightheartedness to a very stoic, serious, dry, cold sign. And Libra could have, Virgo placements that might make them, more interested on statistics and systems and data and efficiency and a specific skill or craft. And the information that they gather about that could be really beneficial to what Capricorn is interested in. So there's a lot of ways in which they can be even more compatible or less compatible depending on what's going on. I think that Mercury is one of the signs that is grossly underlooked as it relates to synastry, because it's like, oh, who cares if you speak the same language? It's like, have you ever watched 90 Day Fiancé and seen how two people just literally cannot communicate and build a life? Like, it just seems so obvious to me that if you guys don't speak the same language, that you are going to have to exercise more energy just to get a point across. And, and there's also just like something so deliciously sexy about someone who speaks the same language as you. So maybe this is just my personal opinion, but I do encourage you to check out what your Mercury sign is and what your partner's Mercury sign is to see how well you guys communicate. If you would like to learn more, because this is just one configuration of literally over 2,000, you can find me at wellandrising.com/services. Toodles.